Hey guys, my name is Kenny and we're going to do an overview of all the stratagems in game at this point, starting with the machine gun stratagem. Now this is actually a really great stratagem. You start off with this when you first start the game. This machine gun actually has a lot of firepower and it can destroy a lot of the light bugs. Anything that has heavy armor, you're going to have issues with the machine gun to destroy them, but nonetheless, this thing has unbelievable stopping power. The only downside to the machine gun is you do need to be stationary to reload it, so you do need to be paying attention, making sure you're not going to get swarmed or gunned down by the bots or swarmed by the bugs. It takes about 5 seconds to reload this gun. Going to the next one is the anti-material rifle. Now, just my overview of this stratagem, it is not that great. I'm going to be honest with you. It's great for mid-range and long range, but other than that, it's just not what I would use ever. There's other support stratagems that are better than this to use. This isn't bad to use against the bots, but just in my personal opinion, this is not something that I would end up using. From there, we have the Stalwart. Now, the Stalwart is a smaller version of the machine gun for an LMG. It has a good clip on it. It has reduced firepower versus the machine gun, but you do not need to be stationary to reload this LMG. You can start running and reloading at the same time. That is the really nice benefit to this gun. Personally, I really wish this was a primary weapon. This thing would be amazing as a primary, but unfortunately, it's one of your support weapons. And just in my personal overview of this, I would use the machine gun over this just because the extra firepower is most needed most of the time. From there, we have the expendable anti-tank. Now, this is the anti-tank rocket launcher. It only has one use out of it, one rocket. That's it. Once you shoot it, your guy tosses the rocket launcher down to the ground, and that's it. It does come with 2 rocket launchers per stratagem inside the pod when it lands, so you can shoot off one, toss it to the ground automatically, and then you can pick up the other one, or a teammate can also pick up the other one as well. From there, we have the recoilless rifle. Now, the recoilless rifle comes with the rifle plus a support backpack. Now, you can pick up this backpack yourself and reload your rounds yourself, or your teammate can pick up the support kit and instantly reload these rounds for you. Now, when your teammate reloads it, is very instantaneous. They load it, you shoot, they load it, you shoot, they load it, you shoot. Now, if you're loading this by yourself, it is going to take about 6 to 8 seconds for this thing to load by yourself. It does take a long time, so it's kind of like the machine gun. Make sure that you're going to be in a good spot because you do need to be stationary to reload this yourself. Vice versa, if your teammate is loading you, you also have to be stationary, but your teammate automatically loads it as you fire. From there, we have the flamethrower. Now, my personal overview of this stratagem, it's not that great. It does not have enough firepower. You would think that fire would be amazing against the bugs. It's great against the little ones, but anything that's bigger than any of the main fighter bugs, it's not going to do a lot of damage. And most of the time, you're going to be causing a lot of friendly fire with this stratagem, and it does leave a lot of fire on the ground. Anything that's burnable, grass, anything like that is actually going to catch everything on fire and just spread. So you really got to play carefully with this stratagem, and you can kill yourself and your teammates very easily. Now, moving on to the autocannon. This is another support stratagem that comes with a support kit. You can either have your teammate load your rounds automatically for you as you're firing, or load them yourselves. Same thing, you need to be stationary if you're loading it by yourself, and it does take up to 4 to 6 seconds to load it. You actually can stop the load halfway through and just load half a clip if you'd like, but with your teammate loading it, it is extremely fast. You just have to be stationary. Your teammate loads it as you're firing. It is a very, very good stratagem to get. Even if you're going to use this by yourself and just load it yourself, the amount of firepower that this autocannon has, you can kill anything with this thing. It is really, really good. Going from there, we have the railgun. This is one of my personal favorites. This is basically the support weapon that I use every single time unless I'm doing a nest destruction mission. So with this support weapon, it can charge up to a safe amount where it just sits at that amount of charge, and then you can shoot it whenever you want, or you can set it to unsafe mode. Now, with unsafe mode, it will charge up, but if you charge too long, it will explode in your hands, destroying the railgun and of course blowing you up. Now, if you can time this perfectly right when it's almost fully charged and shoot it, it does significantly more damage. So you got to get really good at using it in unsafe mode, and you're gonna really top out the damage out of this guy. From there, we have the spear. Now, with the spear, this is an automatic locking rocket launcher. It has heavy damage, but it's more of a long range to mid range rocket launcher, more closer to the long range side. If you're too close with this thing, either one, it's not going to lock on, or two, the rocket's not going to get fully activated in the air and it's not going to actually hit your target. Alright, so we have the orbital Gatling barrage. So what this Gatling barrage does is it shoots high caliber rounds in one area where you throw your stratagem. This is really good for any bot drop or drop ships that are dropping bots, or any bug breaches. You throw the stratagem right on top of that breach, it's going to fire right away and it's going to start killing everything that's coming out of that hole. As long as it's not anything that has heavy armor on it, this thing is going to destroy everything. It is actually really good. It has a small cooldown time of 80 seconds on it with the extra ship modules with it. It is really good. From there, we have the Orbital Airburst Strike. Now, with this Airburst Strike, it's not effective against heavy armor, but this is extremely strong against any light enemies at all. It has 3 salvos in it, so 3 separate barrages where it will shoot down 3 times with 1 stratagem. Cooldown time is 120 seconds on this guy, and it does a pretty wide range of damage, so it's actually pretty good for any clearing up areas. From there, we have the Orbital 120mm HE Barrage. Now, heads up, you're going to kill your teammates with this a lot, so just a good heads up on that. So what this does is going to fire a salvo over a small area. It says small area, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's not a small area. It actually hits pretty far out. This is really good at taking out hives or egg areas, so it's pretty solid for that. But you really got to be careful when you throw this in. You do not want to be blowing your teammates up with it. From there, we have the Orbital 380mm HE Barrage. Now, this is the bigger version of the 120 and the bigger version to blow up your teammates. If you're not telling your teammates that you're throwing this into a base, this will cover a whole base in damage. Now, you got to be very careful with this. Obviously, it can kill your teammates, and it can obviously kill you if you're not very careful with it. So, be very careful when you're calling this in. Make sure you're telling your teammates that you're throwing in a 380. Don't just throw it in and not say anything to your teammates, because you're going to just kill them. From there, we have the Orbital Walking Barrage. Now, this is a really great barrage for pushing enemies. Reason why is where you throw this stratagem down, it will do a barrage in that area, and then a few seconds after that, it will actually advance a little bit from your forward direction and do another barrage, and then from that, advance a little bit and do another barrage. So this is really good at advancing through a base if a base is being overrun by enemies, so it's pretty solid for that. From there, we have the Orbital Laser. Now, with the laser, this is an automatic tracing laser that lasts for 30 seconds. This is a very strong orbital cannon stratagem, but you only get 3 uses per game, so you have to keep that in mind. It has a very long cooldown time of 300 seconds, so it has 5-minute cooldown time. It takes a very long time for it to come back, but it is a very strong stratagem. This will clear up areas for you very quickly. From there, we have the Orbital Rail Cannon Strike. Now, with this Rail Cannon Strike, it's kind of like the Precision Strike. This guy is going to automatically lock on to the biggest enemy within its radius of the stratagem when it gets thrown down. This is going to be a one-shot on basically everything except for the Bile Titan and possibly the tank. Most of the time, it has killed the tank one-shot for me, so it's not really too much of an issue with the tank. But the Bile Titan, I have had numerous times where this is not one-shot the Bile Titan. Everything else, it will one-shot. From there, we have the Eagle Strafe and Run. Now, with the Eagle Strafe and Run, it's pretty close to the Gatling Barrage of the Orbital. It's going to go in a straight line from you forward, and it's going to do light fire in that straight line. Really good for killing any light enemies, any heavy enemies. It's not going to do a great job. From there, we have the Eagle Airstrike. Now, with the Eagle Airstrike, it's just like as if you would expect it, an airstrike that comes down and does a carpet of explosions. This actually does damage against every enemy in the game. So it's actually a pretty solid Eagle stratagem to use if you like to use the Eagle. So yeah, it's pretty solid. From there, we have the Eagle Cluster Bomb. So this is kind of close to the airstrike, but it's actually going to have more bombs and more radius on the explosion area. Now, these bombs are going to be weaker than what the airstrike drops. So this is only going to be really good for killing light enemies. It's not going to do anything to any heavy enemies. From there, we have the Eagle Napalm Airstrike. Now, this is an airstrike, except it's going to light everything on fire as well. It's going to do a bit of damage from the initial landing, and then it's going to have fire that goes across in a left to right manner or right to left manner. It's going to be really good for setting up against choke points so that you're not going to have any enemies advancing through that choke point. From there, we have the jump pack. Now, the jump pack is actually pretty versatile. This is going to give you mobility reasons to either jump over crushers, jump over terrain, jump down terrain. It's very, very useful for mobility. Now, every jump you do, it does take 20 seconds for it to recharge, so keep that in mind. This is not a very fast charging backpack to use, but it will come handy in a pinch. From there, we have the Eagle Smoke Strike. So with the Eagle Smoke Strike, it's going to do a left to right or right to left spread of the smoke. And same things, just like the Napalm Airstrike, it's going to lay down smoke instead. This is really important using against bots. If you're going to use it, just makes it so they can't see you. So they're going to have very poor accuracy. Against the Bucks, it's pretty much pointless. It can give you some cover for sneaking and all that. But honestly, this game is not meant for sneaking around into objectives, because every objective is going to have enemies in it every single time. So there's really honestly not really any sneaking to do with the bugs. It's pointless for bugs. From there, we have the Eagle 110mm rocket pods. Now, this is a decent stratagem for the Eagle. This is going to lock onto the biggest enemy that it sees closest to the stratagem within its radius. And it's going to do decent anti-armor damage. Now, this isn't going to kill a Crusher with one shot. It's not going to kill a Battle Titan with one shot. But it is going to do decent damage, so it's not bad. From there, we have the Eagle 500 kilogram bomb. Now, this is the big boy for the Eagle. I use this all the time. I love this stratagem. When you throw this guy down, it has about a 3-4 second call down time, and then it hits impact. And this is basically a mini nuke. This thing is going to explode, and it's going to do massive damage. If you can use this properly, you can take out Battle Titans with this every single time, no problem. From there, we have the Orbital Precision Strike. Now, with the Precision Strike, it's really close to the Rail Cannon Strike, except it does not lock on. Now, with the Precision Strike, it does take about 3 seconds to call this in. Wherever your stratagem lands, that is where the Precision Strike is going to land, and it's very, very precise. It does not have a lot of splash damage to it, so you have to make sure that your target that you're trying to hit with this is going to be within the stratagem's beam. From there, we have the Orbital Gas Strike. Now, this gas actually hits really, really hard. I killed myself very quickly with this gas. I stepped into it just to see how much damage it does, and it just basically melted me. This is really good against bugs. It's really good against bots. Same thing. Really good at choke points. So if you know they're coming through a alleyway or anything like that, throw this out. It's really going to cause a lot of damage to them as they're going through it. From there, we have the Orbital EMS Strike. Now, with the EMS Strike, this is going to lay down a static field that completely stuns enemies so they cannot attack, cannot move, and it's going to leave them completely open to your gunfire or any of your Orbital Stratagems or Eagle Stratagems, whatever you'd like to use to blow them up. But this is really nice. From there, the Orbital Smoke Strike. Now, the Orbital Smoke Strike is pretty close to the Smoke Strike from the Eagle. It's just going to be a little bit more of a wider radius on it, so it's going to give you more cover. But honestly, same thing. It's decent against bots, but against bugs, it's absolutely useless. From there, we have the HMG Emplacement. Now, this is a mounted heavy machine gun that you can get on. Now, this is really good against lightly armored enemies. Anybody that has heavy armor, it's not going to do the job. Pretty good if your teammates are getting the heavy guys for you, and you can just lay down cannon fire or heavy machine gun fire in a certain area where they're coming through a bug breach or a gunship drop, depending on what's happening. This can be decent, but with the other sentries that are in this game, I'm pretty reluctant to even use this thing. From there, we have the Shield Generator Relay. Now, the Shield Generator Relay creates a bubble around the relay that you throw down, and it lasts for about 30 seconds. Now, this is really, really good against automatons. Now, as you can see, it blocks all the gunfire out of the bubble, so you can't take any damage. Really good for sentries as well, so it protects your sentries. The bots are never going to really advance on you unless it's the smaller ones, which you can take care of yourself. And your sentries are going to have cover for about 30 seconds. It's really, really solid. From there, we have the Tesla Tower. Now, I'm going to be an honest guy. The Tesla Tower has a lot of firepower, but the fire rate on this thing is absolutely garbage. It should be a lot faster, in my opinion, if it's going to have lightning sparking out of it continuously like it is, but it definitely does not have the fire rate that I would like to see. Decent for holding down a choke point, same thing as the napalms, but there is other things in this game that it can be a lot better. From there, we have the anti-personnel minefield. Now, when you throw this down, it's basically going to sprinkler about a whole bunch of mines in its radius. Anything that steps on those mines are going to blow up. Pretty straightforward. From there, we have the supply pack. Now, with the supply pack, this is going to give you 4 ammo crates in your backpack. You can use these on yourself, or you can give these to your teammates. The only way to restock these is either summoning another supply pack when it comes off cooldown, or throw down a resupply and pick up all the crates out of it, or the amount of crates that you do need to recharge your backpack. I'm going to be honest with you, though, it gives you a full charge of your primary, full charge of your secondary, and very dependent on what support weapon you're using. The grenade launcher, the flamethrower, laser cannon, machine gun, all that kind of stuff, all the basic stuff. It gives you full clips for all of those. For the railgun, the recoilless rifle, the autocannon, the spear, all of these weapons, it's only going to give you either one or two rockets or 2 clips for the autocannon. It will not give you a whole bunch. You have to pretty much use every crate to recharge someone completely on those weapons. I'm going to be an honest guy. If you're using one of those weapons, the autocannon, the spear, the recoilless rifle, any of those, just wait for your cooldown to come back off for that stratagem. Throw down a new one, pick up the new gun, pick up the new supply pack, and then there you go. You got a full charge on everything. From there, we have the grenade launcher. You can unlock this guy at a very early time in the game. This is actually used in high-level gameplay as well to blow up nests and eggs. I use it all the time in those missions because you can literally run into a nest, blow up nests or eggs very, very quickly, and just run right back out of the nest and start running to the next one. So really good for speed running. I use it all the time. Otherwise, I'm using the railgun every time. From there, we have the laser cannon. My honest opinion on this, it's garbage. Don't buy it. Don't even use it. It's not enough damage, in my opinion, to really use. And honestly, there's a lot more other support stratagems that you can use that are better than this guy. So honestly, it's not something that I would spend my points on right away because it's just not that great. From there, we have the incendiary mines. Now, it's pretty close to the exact same as the anti-personnel minefield, except same thing. It's going to sprinkle them out in a radius. When the enemies step on these, they are going to blow up slightly and also catch on fire. I do believe this does do more damage than what the anti-personnel minefield does, but at the same time, it's very niche for people to use this just because it's going to be in one area and one area only. And then when you move away from the area, I mean, it's not going to be doing anything for you anymore. From there, you have the guard dog rover. We're actually going to go over the guard dog first, then the guard dog rover. So with the guard dog drone that is going to protect you, this one uses the Liberator assault rifle. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. This thing is straight up crap. Do not buy it. It is just absolutely awful. Its counterpart, the guard dog rover, is superior in every single way except for firepower, but it does make up for it for what it can do. With the guard dog, the main problem with this thing is it runs out of ammo. You have to pick up ammo crates continuously to keep this thing supplied with ammo. And also the clips are not very big, so it shoots maybe 30 rounds, then it has to go back on your backpack, reload itself, and then fly back out. And honestly, the firepower is nice versus the rover, but it runs out of ammo way too fast, and then it's just useless. It does nothing on your back until it gets more ammo. So from there, we have the guard dog rover. Now, this is the superior guard dog out of the two. This does not run out of ammo. It can only overheat. Now, this thing, I'm going to be honest with you, it is overtuned for how much heat it builds. It's very, very slow on how much heat it builds. This thing will kill about 20, 25, 30 enemies before it even comes close to overheating. When it overheats, it takes about 7 or 8 seconds to recharge on your back, and then it's right back to normal, and it's pumping out more damage. This thing is superior against the original guard dog in every single way except for firepower. If you're going to buy one of them, buy the rover. Do not buy the guard dog. You'll be very disappointed by buying the Liberator one. It's absolute garbage. From there, we have the ballistic shield backpack. Now, with this ballistic shield backpack, if you're using a one-handed weapon, so either a submachine gun or your sidearm, you're going to pull out a ballistic shield. This is really good against the low-level bots that just have regular gunfire. Any of the bots that have rockets or anything like that, it's obviously not going to do good because, well, shield's not going to block a freaking rocket launcher. It's just not going to happen. With this versus the bugs, it's absolutely crap. I would never really honestly use this. There is so many better backpacks to use versus this thing. By far, I think this is one of the worst backpacks in the game. From there, we have the arc thrower, aka the friendly fire giant. This thing kills your teammates left, right, and center. If you want to be a troll, this is the gun to use because this will kill your teammates time and time again. What this does is it shoots an arc of lightning at close range. If it hits an enemy, it will discharge through multiple targets, including your friends. So it will bounce between 2 extra guys. If it hits your teammate, it's a one-shot kill. It's automatically going to kill them. And it arcs very, very far. I've been like 10 to 15 feet away from the enemy that my teammate shoots, and it will arc all the way over to me and kill me. So honestly, if you want to be a troll, if you want to be an ass in this game, I really advise not to, and there's obviously a lot of people in this game that really don't like to be trolled, but this is the gun that is going to troll people. From there, we have the shield generator pack. Now, this is one of my other favorite backpacks just because this gives you a shield around you that soaks up some damage for you. This is really nice just because if you're going to do an egg run or a nest run, this is going to protect you as you're running in with your grenade launcher to blow up the nest, so you can actually sprint right past. Some guys might take a couple of hits. This is going to soak the damage for you, and the slows on top of that. Keep that in mind. It's also going to block any of the poisons that slow you or anything like that. And then after a few seconds, it recharges and gets the shield back up for you. So it's a really, really great backpack. You get this at level 20. From there, we have the machine gun sentry. Now, this is the basic sentry that you can get in the game. I forget what level you unlock this at. It's a very early level. It's a decent sentry to start off with. There's way better ones, obviously, as you level, but this is actually a pretty solid thing to pick up as soon as it unlocks for you. From there, we have the Gatling Sentry, the upgraded version of the machine gun sentry. This thing has higher firepower, higher fire rate, more ammo, and in every way it's better than the machine gun sentry. This guy just shreds any light enemies, any heavy enemies. It cannot do anything to them. But other than that, it shreds. It shreds. From there, we have the Mortar Sentry. Now, the Mortar Sentry, it has insane range on this thing. It can shoot very, very far away. You can set this outside of base, and this thing can do work to the enemy base before you even push in. Now, keep in mind, the range on this thing is massive. So if your teammates are, you know, pretty close to you in radius, but they're not really by you, and they're fighting something, this thing is going to shoot mortars over towards your teammates and kill them. So keep that in mind. If your teammates are close by fighting something like a base, probably not a good idea to throw the Mortar Sentry down because the Mortar Sentry is going to blow your teammates up. From there, we have the Autocannon Sentry. Now, this is my favorite sentry in the game so far. This has anti-tank ammunition for long ranges. It works great against heavy armored enemies, Bile Titans, tanks, all of it. You know, you name it, you guess it. It kills everything. This thing is amazing. It has a very slow turn speed, but honestly, this thing is so strong. It just does work. Highly recommend to use this sentry. If you're going to use a sentry at all, this is definitely one of the ones that you should be using. From there, we have the Rocket Sentry. Now, the Rocket Sentry, I was actually pretty sad with this thing. I was expecting this thing to really cause some damage when it was shooting rockets, but it honestly does not have the firepower that I would expect that it would have. The fire rate is also really awful. If it's not at range, it needs medium to long range. If anything is at close range, it's not going to shoot because it's going to blow itself up and it knows it, so it's just not going to shoot at anything that's close to it. From there, we have the EMS Mortar Sentry. Now, this is another mortar, but it shoots EMS grenades, which are those static field grenades that stun your enemies. This is really great for defense. If you're trying to hold an objective or trying to do a defense mission, this is going to slow the enemies down. You throw down a Mortar Sentry with this as well, so you're going to have a mixture of static field mortars and also regular mortars, and it's just going to kill everything. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's all the stratagems that are in the game of today so far. I would imagine I'm going to be coming out with more stratagems eventually. But yeah, this was my opinion on them. And yeah, those are all the stratagems in the game. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And catch you guys all in the next one. Thank you so much.